I come from a grossly overeducated family, and I myself am grossly overeducated. And when I think back about hindsight, so many of these stories about things we screwed up in the past. And so as I was spinning it in my head, I thought, what's the hindsight story that isn't what I screwed up, but the thing I got right? And so my hindsight story is about being grossly overeducated and the right thing to learn at the right time. So when I was in high school, back in the 70s, I looked around at the smart, funny women who were going places, and I saw something in common about them, and that was that they were not interested in domestic stuff. They were not interested in cooking. These were women who were like into science and history and all this stuff, and I thought, I like to eat. I'm probably not going to make lots and lots of money, so I better learn how to cook. So when I was still in high school, my mother, who is a fantastic cook, I just said to her, I need to learn how to cook. And so she started to teach me how to cook. So even though I'm grossly overeducated, in hindsight, the best thing I ever learned was how to cook. So flash forward past my undergraduate, before my master's and my PhD, and I was working in the Twin Cities, waiting tables and being an actor. And I met this marvelous woman. And she's here tonight. And it was, I'm in theater, and it was opening night, and I was on stage, and she was doing props, and we were having the opening night party at my house. So, of course, she was coming. And we kind of had this connection that had happened in the weeks before. So things were interesting and positive going into this. And on the night of the party, people were drinking too much, which is something that people did in the early 80s at parties. And we had this idea that if you just brewed some strong coffee, things would be fine. So late in the evening, I went to the kitchen to brew some strong coffee, and Carrie went to the kitchen with me, and I thought this was a great opportunity, so I said, "Can I kiss you?" And she said, "Yes," and that sort of okay, and so I kissed her, and that was lovely. I made the coffee. She decided she was still too drunk to drive home. And so I said, okay, then why don't you stay? I'll sleep on the couch, which we did. I was a gentleman, which is another hindsight story, but we won't go there now. Anyway, in the morning, I said, what do you want for breakfast? And she said, I don't eat breakfast. And being the asshole that I am, I said, you do now. And she kind of looked at me. And I said, how about waffles? And she said, okay. And it turns out that she had never had a homemade waffle in her life, right? Different family, different types, right? But she'd never had a homemade waffle. And so reaching back to what I knew, I made waffles from scratch. And when you make good waffles from scratch, you don't just like put together the ingredients like out of a Bisquick, right? It's everything is from scratch. And so Carrie was there. Carrie, she's back there. I don't know. I wasn't going to tell your name, and I don't know why. Anyway, everybody knows you. They don't know me. Anyway, so you do it right? You do the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients, and of course, you've got to separate the eggs. And I was a poverty-stricken actor in the Twin Cities in the early 80s. I didn't own an egg beater. I did. And I think, in hindsight, thank you, love, 20 years. In hindsight, the thing that was most important was that I beat the egg whites with a fork. Thank you.